You happy now?
Only thing you say is you say that I know. Only thing is you behave like you don't really know what you think, but it shows. All your
Hey, everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of Showrunner Podcast. We are talking about the writer's room today. We have two fantastic guests. We have Romeo Candido, who is creator, showrunner, Gangnam Project, showrunner, The Next Step, a bunch of other things going on. We've got Smeaton, creator, showrunner, Children Ruin Everything, worked on many fantastic series, Emmy winner.
It's true.
It's all true.
You have the Emmy.
I have it's in my closet. It was sort of like I was in the room for season 6 of Schitt's Creek. Can I say shit on this podcast?
Yeah, you're fine. I know it's people have been cursing.
It's a hit.
And yeah, so I was a producing writer, so I got an Emmy, even though I feel like my contributions were...
You got an Emmy.
I got an Emmy.
You got an Emmy.
It's in my closet.
You're an Emmy winner.
Yep.
Smeaton.
I have a nom. I have a director nom.
Director, you're Emmy nominated.
Emmy nominated.
I'm also Emmy nominated.
All right,
Congratulations.
losers. We're Emmy losers.
Emmy losers.
Nice.
I have a BAFTA though. That's nice.
Oh, I have a.
You should get one of those.
What do you got?
I don't.
Karate trophy from your youth? Or...
I have a bronze from a Taekwondo tournament.
Hey,
Yay!
There you go.
I would never get a bronze from Taekwondo. It was just
And we're back.
Yeah,
not for me.
I'd be 4th at best.
So we're talking about writer's room. So I mean, one of the first things that's as showrunners, a lot of times if you get lucky enough to do this job, one of the first things, if you get greenlit, they're gonna be like, hey, put together a room. Even if you're not greenlit there, sometimes you get to do a development room.
Mm-hmm.
You get to be in charge of some other writers. There's
no greater feeling.
Of being in charge of other writers.
Yeah, it's just the ultimate. Yeah,
just looking
finally
down on them. And
you know what?
like,
I don't like your idea, and it's not going in the show. That's a great power.
You're terrible, and you'll never be anything.
Take it from me, the showrunner of this development room.
So from the jump, first things first, like where to find writers. I think this is one of those things that people don't really talk about that much. When you're a showrunner, like for me, one of the things is, I like to build a room, and this is something I've learned over the years. When I'm building a room, I like to have some people that I know so that I have some familiarity, some people who can kind of like, you can check me, but also people who I can look at and be like, hey, we need a thing, and they can take care of it. And I also like having some people that I don't know in the room to add a little spice, add a little something that this show is going to be, especially if the show has some specific cultural needs or those kinds of things, someone who can speak to those things. So when I'm looking for writers, there's all kinds of different places. Like agents, I feel like are
number
of the places.
one. I think for me, the EPs of the shows have a stack, and so that's been my experience of reading through a stack.
They throw a bunch of names at you.
They throw a bunch of names, throw a bunch of resumes.
As soon as agencies get wind that you've got a show, they're sending
so
scripts.
popular.
You become the most popular guy.
I always gotta tell them, send me, like I give them a limit, like especially because sometimes some agencies, if they have a big, like if you're working here in Canada, you like the characters, they have a lot of clients, right? They'll be like, here are 13 people you should know. I'm like, no, okay, you can send me 5. I'll tell them send me 5, and I'll also tell them like specifically so they don't just send 5 that I'm definitely not gonna hire. I'll kind of give them a sense of like, I'm looking for someone who's strong on comedy, or someone who's good with this kind of comedy, or someone who's like dramatic. Like, I'm just kind of giving them like a little sense of like what I want, so that the people that they send are actually like, they have a chance.
Oh, that's nice of you. I don't respond to those emails.
I normally say I don't speak English, so I can do that.
No, I think that is good to like give some direction as to like what the kind of things you're looking for. Other places, just in terms like in comedy, sometimes you want to go outside the box and look at performers. Who's a funny person. If you got your, like you say, you got your sort of senior people, you got some people who you can trust, and you want to look for some of that magic spice you were talking about. Sometimes you just want to find someone who's just an improviser or a stand-up, or someone who's just used to generating lots of ideas, lots of funny thoughts, has funny opinions on things.
Yeah.
and get them in that room. And then another thing, I've never done this personally, but a lot of shows that I love have looked at and hired playwrights, people who are in the theater world and maybe don't know the format, but are used to sort of giving voice to characters and
they know them. They know the mechanics. They know stakes drive conflict. They know two people in a room having opposing wants.
You can tell this guy loves theater.
Yeah, theater nerd.
Theater nerd.
I started in theater too, so I get it.
I went to theater school.
Ew.
Yeah.
I dropped out of theater school.
Good for you.
Yeah.
That was the right.
So you could do theater for a living.
So I can do Les Mis. I hired somebody because they said, I love spreadsheets. I love doing spreadsheets. I love tracking story. Like they loved the thing that I hated the most, and I was like, green light, just based on the fact that she mentioned the thing that I hate so much.
That's such a smart thing. Like finding people who cover your blind spots.
Yeah.
Is so important as a showrunner because you want people in the room who are going to be able to like speak to things that you can't speak to. And for me, as like a cishet mask man, like I just want to make sure that some of the people who are in my room who have power, who are upper level, are women or non-binary, someone who can speak from a different point of view than myself, and I want them to have, to feel the power to say like, hey, listen, you're going down a bad path here for these reasons. I'm like, what? But I thought that women's was like this. And it's like, no, you don't know anything. You should talk to your wife.
Huh, I'm learning.
Yeah. We're all learning.
No, I think that's right. You want to have, if you think of yourself as being a curator, you got your show, you got your idea, and people are bringing you ideas and moments and characters and things that can go in your show. You don't want people bringing the same kinds of things. You want different sources. So you do want, you want people who have different experiences to draw from, different kinds of places, that they're coming from. And you definitely want women. You want people who have had different life experiences than the other people you're hiring in your room.
Yeah.
I've also hired people who were the closest to the characters that I'm writing for.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was one of the shows I worked on, Top Line. It was a 16-year-old Filipino girl.
Yeah.
And even though I wrote, my avatar I was writing as this character, I still needed backup. I needed somebody who was closer to that. And then it actually validated my choices, because a lot of times we say we have, write what you know, but sometimes I'm writing what I don't know, but I'm plugging into a character kind of through in a way. And so I need, I would need backup for things like that.
I think it's really important to think of it that way, and not to think of you're hiring people to police your characters, like to say what things can't be done, but rather to sort of shed light on the specific funny things that are from that experience.
Yeah.
And I think that there were people when rooms started to not just be white men.
Yeah.
There were people who resisted the idea of like, we need people here. The idea was that we need people to police these characters, just tell us when us funny people are going too far.
Yeah.
Whereas, like comedy is about finding the specifics of something, and like you want people who can be like, what's funny about this experience? What's funny about this perspective? And that's the right way to think about it.
And also, speaking of policing, I do believe that sometimes, we're at a table of 3 men right here, 3 cis straight men. So I do expect a level of, you can't do that, especially from the Z's and the alphas, but it needs to be paired with, so here's a solution. Like, you know what I mean? I just don't because I've been in rooms and then I've been, ideas would be struck down because it's not how we should say. You can't say crazy anymore. You can't say guys anymore. You can't, inclusive language, which, great, I get. We're learning. I'm a Gen Xer learning things slowly. But then I would want it to be followed up with a funny pitch, a great story idea, or something.
And I also think that there are times when you have to write characters that are not those things, right?
For sure.
Yeah, and I think, for instance, like when the show I'm working on now, I Hate the Player, we're dealing with the 80s. And that was not a time when people held their
They
tongue.
said things.
Yeah.
They
And if
said,
you want to be
yeah.
authentic to the time, and yeah, obviously we're not going to go certain places where we feel like we're going to offend people in a way where they're not going to want to watch the show. But I think there's some importance in delivering an authentic product, and maybe you trim around some of the edges to make it feel like it's presentable for this current time, but at the same time you want to make sure that you got all the juice in there that you need to get in there.
Yeah, it's got to have some teeth.
Yeah.
You can't remove all the teeth.
Well, like, not to Rob Reiner world, but like, look at Archie Bunker. He said all the worst things, but it was saying the right things in the macro sense.
And using it in a way where, and I'm sure Norman Lear wasn't thinking about teaching the world, but at the same time, it was like
maybe he was.
Maybe he was.
I think he was.
Yeah, he was. But it was like people were connecting to this character, but then growing with the character, or growing where the character wasn't growing because of the things that this character was doing. It was a smart way of doing it.
In Kim's Convenience, Appa was saying he was saying the wrong things and learning in the process.
Yeah.
So I like when a character's messy and represents all the messy people out there, and then there's a little bit of that transformation.
Yeah. I wanted to talk a little about the stand-up route and the improv route, because one of the things that, especially if you're in a writer's room where, say, you have a certain amount of scripts and you only have a certain amount of money for certain writers, and especially in Canada, you want the people you hire, they have to kind of have all the skills. They kind of have to be able to be really good at writing scripts, be really good with structure, be really good with, jokes if you're writing a comedy. One of the things I'll try and do, if I do find people who are like, oh, I would love this person's voice on my series, I'll hire them later on as punch-up writers. And so that they don't get a script, but they do get like what's called a story editor credit here in Canada. And they get to be, they'll be there for the table reads or whatever, and then they can kind of like become integrated into the process and get like a credit, and then also learn how that stuff works. And then maybe on the next one, if they have like, they'll write their own samples, and then maybe they'll become like one of the writers of the episodes later on. So if that's another way you can integrate people, if you're trying to figure out ways to integrate writers, and you're not going to give them a script, maybe there are other ways to kind of bring them into the world.
Well, you bring up a point that maybe we should address, which is that, you have your budget for your writing room.
Yes, there's a budget.
So,
it's finite.
And it's finite, and it's getting more and more finite all the time.
Finite.
Yeah. And so, you want to have your senior people, but you're measuring weeks and payment for writers, and you have things like scripts to sort of lure people in, like I can give you this much, but you'll maybe get a script and a half instead of just a script. And so there's that kind of math that's happening.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at someone like, oh, this is just a funny person who I met, it's like, is there like a discount for that, or is there like how does that?
I'm not gonna get my bang from a buck.
Yeah, like can you bring that person in for 2 weeks? They don't get a script, but it's like you're gonna come in and be funny for 2 weeks, and we're gonna pick your brain about you're gonna be involved in this conversation.
You'll get a credit, but you're gonna get paid for the weeks that you're there, but you're not gonna get you're not gonna write a script.
You're not gonna write a script, and so that becomes part of the assembly process too.
There's a lot of negotiation.
You've got a certain amount of money and you've got a certain amount of time, and you're like, I got to pay this senior person for 8 weeks, and then plus are they there in production? And so there's that comes into it as well. You're playing a bit of Moneyball.
Moneyball. I just watched that on the plane. It's perfect. My favorite feeling though is giving a junior writer like a half script, or
giving them an opportunity.
Giving them an opportunity to get that credit.
Yeah.
Like I think, because when I got my first credit, it was such a big deal.
Yeah.
Like for me to go from being, what is it when you're in a room and you just say things but you don't get a script, like you're like a
piece of shit.
That's
how it feels.
Yeah, that's how it's like, I want to write a script too. I don't want to be a piece of.
I think technically it depends what the guild
editor,
is. Story editor, junior story editor, they've got a bunch of different.
But when I went from not even story editor, I was just like an invite in the Kim's room for a couple of weeks to the next time I was in a room getting a script. Like that was such a big deal. So I remember, I know what that feels like, that moment. So every time I could give somebody who might not even be ready for their script, knowing that I actually wasn't ready for my first script.
But you found a way to support them in a way that they can learn and be protected and have like a have a net there for them while they're kind of working on it.
Yeah,
If that's why you say like if you give them like half a script, they're working with someone who understands the process, so that they're not going to be, they're not going to just fall apart and be like, I don't know what this is.
There's no education like doing either. Like even if you're in the room and you're watching people and you're picking up a certain amount, but actually writing a script and seeing how it gets rewritten and seeing what stays all the way through, and then there were people auditing a season of Children and Everything just in the writing room for a couple of weeks, and I kept sending them like, here's the outline of the things that you saw us break, and here's the first draft, and here's the production draft, and like you can see like track
how it unfolds,
how it changed, what things stay, and then like you never know what kind of production needs or actor needs or whatever changes those scripts.
And for young writers out there, there's a very good chance your first thing writing a script is not going to be on an actual show. I wrote a lot of scripts before I got a job writing on a TV show. Like a lot. So don't be afraid to do that work in advance before you actually get one of those jobs. In fact, that's how you get the job. Is like if you just keep writing scripts, get better and better at it, share your samples, and then one of us will read your cool work.
Well, that brings us to like in terms of like where you find people, lots of different buckets that we've picked up, but then the real thing is like reading those samples. And figuring out who.
So this is actually the next thing I wanted to talk about, like reading samples.
You're welcome for the segue.
Thank you very much. You did it. I was
the
like,
the loop back? What?
I can see. I got a sight line to your notes.
Oh, perfect.
I'm on it.
The Emmy-winning curtains.
It's in my closet.
As a showrunner, it can become really daunting when you get like a bunch of scripts to read. I remember one time I was like, one of the showrunners I was working with, they had a bunch of scripts in there, and then they were like, I was like, are you reading all of these? Like, and they're like, yeah. But they were doing this thing where they would like read the first 5 pages of something.
That's it.
If they like it, they'd keep on going to 10 pages. Or if they didn't like it, they would just throw it to the side. And then after 10 pages, they kind of put it in a pile of like, okay, so far so good. And then, but if they couldn't put it down and they had to read like the whole thing, that's in a separate pile of like, okay, I'm going to meet this person at some point. And I always tell people, meet the writers before you hire them, because
actually
it's so important.
Have to.
And yeah, so we'll get into that. But do you guys have any tips on like just having to get through a bunch of scripts that you have to read, and also what you're looking for when you're reading those scripts?
I'm voice within a page. You can tell if somebody has a voice, if they have an angle, if they have a way of looking at the world. I try to make it like my first couple pages. I try to put all this, the Romeo Candido sauce in, just to, and it's like, it's also like an audition. When we're looking through a billion self-tapes, I know within a second if the person is in their body, if a person is in, if a person knows who they are, if a person is bringing something. So I think in the writing also, it's like, as soon as you see we're not allowed to use M dashes anymore, right? Like, so no M dashes because of chat, but like really first 2-3 pages, I could see voice right away.
Yeah.
Or I hope to see voice right away.
Yeah, I think there's a part of me that's really looking for some mechanics, like where do they start a scene, how are they ending a scene,
structure,
how many people, and then also just an awareness of production. Like, are there 11 people in the scene? Is there like is the first 4 pages like 18 strips? It's like now we're here. I'm like, you got to have some sort of sense of what this is, and then from there it's like, voice, is this the kind of is this person got something to say? And then, does this script, is there any kind of connection to the project that,
for sure,
that's not fair because people are just wrote up.
But it's true.
Yeah.
It helps. It gets them closer to the game.
Which is why I tell people like write samples. Don't be afraid. If some people write a sample and they're like, well, this is my script.
Yeah.
And it will be the script that will take me for the next. I'm like,
no.
Keep moving. Write something else. But before
shooting keep shooing.
Yeah, listen, for The Office, before I got on The Office, I think they read 6 different samples before I got a meeting on The Office.
Whoa.
I had 3 originals and 3 specs. I had a 2.5 Men spec. I had a Arrested Development spec, and I had a My Name Is Earl spec. I've dated myself horribly.
Oh, great.
I had a Happy Day
Options.
spec, a Three's Company spec, and a Love Boat spec, and that got me nowhere.
My MASH spec was
Mash
so
spec.
good.
I hate the word mash spec in
Mash
combination.
spec. But I had like a lot of, and then because they were all different and they were all interesting in their own way, it actually got me an interview in that job, because there was, especially for that show, like there were so many people trying to get
The Office.
on that series that if the two things that helped was like I was prolific. I had a bunch of scripts, but also I was working in an office when I was trying to get that job. So they're like, well, you know about working in offices because you're literally working at Country Red Home Loans right now. But also while you were doing that, you had hustled enough to be able to write 6 really good samples that displayed character and tone and comedy for those specific scripts. And so don't sit and wait for someone to come along and see the one script that you've made and be like, oh, this is it. Keep writing interesting things. Keep finding stories. Keep moving forward, because
Such a good point.
Sit and wait.
I also, it's hard sometimes when you read a script. It's someone's first script and it's autobiographical in nature, because it's like, well, this is there's a piece of you in this script and that's amazing. That's what I'm looking for. But it's also like, when it's not your story about you, are you able to still find the same kind of salient story points and
that's kind of why specs were so good for a long time, because it's like you're displaying your ability to take someone else's work and make it your own, like figure out a way to kind of like, because that's what a showrunner is looking for.
Well, I still think specs are good for those who just to know structure and just to understand an ABC storyline and just to understand how to end an act 2. And like I think people don't talk about it a lot, but I'm just like, that's why I was watching Golden Girls. I was talking, and then that's when I realized I don't know how to write. But I do think it's important to just like a musician, you want to rip off chords before you start finding your own chord progressions. It's just like, I think it's important to write somebody else's show to understand structure and how to write in somebody else's voice alongside your own things.
Do you guys read specs? People aren't writing a lot of specs.
It's not like it's hard to write a spec because the general thought is that a spec is kind of useless once the show gets canceled. And so shows don't have like 10-year runs anymore. So
I do have a solution for that, for people who are like, one of the thing that I did. So you've seen these stunt specs. Have you heard about these? Like
stunt specs?
Yeah. Like, so for instance, so the one I wrote was called Black Seinfeld. It's Seinfeld, but they're black.
Oh, I'm into this.
Right? So I wrote it like 10 years ago, but people still want to read it because they know Seinfeld because it's a classic show, but also, wait, it's Jerome instead of Jerry and Dosco instead of... And then there's also, someone mentioned to me that there was also a spec of Seinfeld, but the day after 9/11. So it was like, and that person got a job writing on like Family Guy or like one of those other Seth MacFarlane shows. But like,
there's so much dust.
There's so much dust. Is crazy.
But that's what that's
I just had this coat cleaned.
Exactly, but that's exactly what it was. It was like, I haven't read it. So I think you can actually read it online. But like but stuff like that. Like there are ways to prove that you can write in the show's voice.
Yeah.
But also. I'll give it some longevity by doing some kind of like stunt thing. So I say, if there's a spec that you want to find, a classic show like Golden Girls, do a Golden Girls in space. Like I don't know what it is, but like you can do something like that if you're.
I heard about someone writing like a spec about like the Peanuts characters. Like Charlie Brown, I should say the Peanuts.
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 I got you.
Like the Charlie Brown gang. Older, and you don't realize until partway through that. Oh wait, these are all the. Yeah.
Oh, what was
so Pigpen is walking around as like a 19-year-old with odor issues.
Like dirty
ass. There's so much dust.
I just want to go downtown.
I'm going to read it now because I need to find out if that joke's in there. One of the things I'll say for future showrunners, when you're reading these scripts, keep track, like spreadsheet,
take notes,
those kind. Because even if they're not right for this show, they might be right for something else you're working on later on down the line. Or say one of your friends hits you up like, "Hey, I'm looking for someone that is really good with these kinds of things." You might be able to check your notes and be like, "Oh, I just read something recently that was like that, and then you can kind of share that stuff. So keep track of that stuff. Just make a spreadsheet.
That's the thing. Like when you're submitting scripts, sometimes like I absolutely have people like that where I'm like, I like this script. It's not
right for this.
It's not right for this, but like this person knows what they're doing, and this made me laugh and made me think. So I've recommended this writer to a couple of people. I don't know if they've gotten work out of it,
but guess what? Now that writer's name is on a bunch of other people's lips, and I'm sure it's helping.
Yeah.
It's those things that you don't realize. It's a small thing, but it's a huge thing. And I think it's important to just kind of like continue to find ways to show appreciation to people who are doing good work, because I'll tell you, for every job that I've ever done, I've always had way more people that could do the job than people that I could hire. Like it's
for
always,
sure, 100%.
You're casting or you're hiring writers, or there's always more people. I never got to a place where I was like, where am I going to find people to write this show?
Never. And so that's why it's, as a writer, it's hard to get rejected a lot, but you don't know the reasons. The same with actors. Sometimes it's just like that, like their hands are weird, or like
their hands are weird.
It's the
small stupid little things you just don't.
They don't look like this. They could be that person's sister, or like you never know, and so you feel like all this rejection, but like,
or even like that person's not available on these specific days.
Yeah.
It's the amount of rejections that actors get to writers is because, we'll get a couple. I'll have like one director interview in a year and I don't get it. And I'm, it's the end of my career. I'm, a hacky sack in the park, whatever. But actors, they're literally shooting at the net
every day.
Every day.
Yeah.
And then they have to just like let it go. Like, I don't have that actor resilience yet where it's like, every interview I get, I'm like, this is going to change my life. This is going to make me, I'm going to finally be validated. All of my father wounds are going to be healed. You know what I mean? And then, but with the actors, it's
a lot of pressure on your gigs, buddy.
Every single time. But actors, man, they're a resilient bunch for sure.
When you're interviewing writers, let's talk about the interviews for a little bit. What materials are you sending to them just to give them a little taste? I always try not to send too much, but usually I'm just sending like a script and a Bible. Usually it's kind of like the pilot and maybe like a deck.
So yeah, sometimes even just the pilot. And then, I mean, the interview process. So like, you've read all these scripts, and anyone who gets to that interview process is like, can write, that like you could hire any of these people. And then it's just like, can I stand being in a room with this person? Will other people be able to stand being in a room with this person? And then what, even before you get to the material, I'm just like, how was your day? What do you do? What do you do when you're not writing? Like, what's your family like? Like, just, is this person going to,
you want to know of the personality, because you're going to spend a lot of time with this person.
And are they able to, do they have a funny take on their own life? And are they going to be able to, like, can they have endless conversations? Because in our rooms nowadays, you have a showrunner, you have a script coordinator, and 2 to maybe at most 5 other people. Like 7 people is a huge room.
Yeah,
now. And so you can't be in a room where everyone goes quiet ever.
Yeah, I know. Somebody has to pick up the ball for sure. I'm like the weird interviewer. I'm like, what's your sign? What's your rising? Like I'll ask all sorts of, also just to see how they react. Just to see, like, I want openness. I want, I go off of, like, I'm vibes. So because everyone's going to be best foot forward. Everybody wants a date. Everybody wants a job. So sometimes it's the questions that's not about writing, just to see, do they have empathy? Are they human? Yeah. Are they assholes? Sometimes you need somebody to disrupt the room a little bit. Like, I look for things outside of stuff also.
One of the things I think is probably because I was burned when I was younger as a writer. Like, I don't usually ask, like, give me a bunch of story ideas. Like, I try not to ask them for that, because if they don't get hired, I don't want to feel like, oh, I'm using that story idea that writer that I didn't hire. So I actually stay away from, like, in fact, what I'll do is I'll ask about connections to characters or connections to story, those kinds of things, those kinds of personal.
Yeah, how do you plug into?
Right, yeah, because I remember as a writer just going into a room with the show and being like, here's how I think your show should go. Let me give you a bunch of great ideas, and then not getting the job, and then seeing some of those ideas on the show like later on I'm like, oh, it
Yeah.
feels off, and you don't know because the ideas are plentiful, and maybe there were other writers in the room that had those ideas, and maybe it wasn't taken from my personal stories, but maybe someone else had a similar story. I don't know.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, Kurt. That's all I wanted. No, but like I just remember being as a young writer being like, they can just do that. So I always feel as a showrunner, I try not to like. But here's the thing, because we're so conditioned to prove that we can do it. I do feel like writers will always come in like, here's a story idea, and I actually like, it will happen. People are going to be bringing in story ideas, so it's not like I'm saying that's never going to happen. But I try not to like press people into doing it. That's just my personal thing, because I just feel like it's a situation I got to deal with. It's
I think
therapy
that's
I got
smart.
to do.
That's this is your healing. Your
It's my own healing situation.
Younger writer self.
Yeah, I guess it's my own stuff.
That's fair. No, I think that's right, and I think to a certain extent, if you get to the interview process, the belief, and the belief is that this is a person that could be in the room, and so we know that they can write. We know that and I think you're right. We're looking for their connection to characters and just whether or not they're human. I think that's right. Sometimes though, sometimes there's a person who, like a producer or like a network person, has said like, you need to meet this person. We really like them, and so it's not someone that you've necessarily vetted.
Yeah,
and
but
so
you trust the opinion of the
well, no. I don't. I mean, like, the idea is that I will meet this person because this is my partner. These are my partners saying you want me to meet this person, but like, I got to be in this room. So sometimes you are in a situation where it's like, I do want to know what your deal is in terms of writing.
Have either of you inherited a show and then inherited writers?
Because I have been in a place where I've inherited a show and then I've gotten some writers that were already part of the show.
Yeah, I've had that, and I've on the next step. It was inherited because it was season 8 already, and then there were people there since season 1.
And there are producers that were like, we like these people. They know the show.
They know the show, and I didn't know the show. I was the most. I was the most. I don't fuck with this show of anyone who's ever worked on that show. I was like, I do not get it, and I came in trying to change shit, going, I hate this show, so let's do this and let's do that. Season 8, like eventually I really drank the Kool-Aid, and I really understood why the show has worked for so long and is so endeared to so many people. But there was a person there who I love and adore now, but he was just such the show works like this, the show works like that. And so I found myself, even as I co-show ran it with a woman named Amy Cole, but like I found myself having to pitch to the person who was not just like, there was a gauntlet, and like I felt like I needed to, if it got through him, then it was the show. Like he just was the algorithm of the show, and so
he was the showbot. If you feed the story into the showbot,
there's a wiki for the next step, and like he understood this world. And this is like, we're talking, we don't make shows that have 25 episodes in a thing, and people think that because it's in this docu reality style that it's improvised. No, we're still writing the beats out, and we're still doing the things, and you can't repeat a storyline,
right? Even though the turnover for the performers in that show is actually pretty.
But we're still working with 6 sets. People still need to dance. Like there's still rules, and so I walked into a show with people who knew the show way better, and so that, I think that was interesting. Experience also.
Because when I took over Run the Burbs in season 2, there were already a few people that they had already kind of brought in, and I was okay with that too, because it was the creators of the show, Andrew and Scott, were a part of those decisions. So I was like, okay, you see something in these people that you want to explore. So I was cool to just come in and be like, all right, well, let's. And then I helped to choose the last few writers in the room, but like there were some people that were there in for sure. And so I think in those cases it's really about like you were saying, like figuring out what their connection to the show is. How can you utilize them? How can you be the person that's going to use them to help you make the best version of the show possible?
And then challenge them to think a little bit outside of what they're thing is.
Yeah, because don't forget, you're still the showrunner. Like it's still.
I forgot all the time. But every day it's like
You may not put this in the show.
yeah. But no, I think part of my coming in was respecting what's being done,
Mhm.
understanding like there's a tone, there are rules, there are stories that have been done before, but also, okay, you've done that. How can we stretch it and move it into different directions?
There's sorry, were you gonna jump on that?
No.
One of the things I wanted to talk about too is like it's great when you hire a writer. It's because you feel like, and it's always hard because you have to choose, a few people out of the many. But there could be potentially times when you have to let writers go. And this is one of those things where it's difficult. But you might find yourself in this position as a showrunner. And so one of the things, there's a couple ways out of it. So one of the things I'll say is like, you could always just let the contract lapse. That's one way. You can suffer through the situation, and once their contract is lapsed, you don't have to re-up them. And then the other way is you have to terminate their contract. And the way that happens is you have to bring in the producers. You have to, I would say, don't do this in an email or a text. Have a conversation face to face. And I think also this is only at the end of trying to make things work in a lot of different ways. This is like this is like at the very end of it, you have to let this person go. This is the way to do it. Face to face. Be honest about why. Because if you're like, it's just, if you do that thing where it's like, it's more me than you, then you're going to get sued because you're basically saying it's not their fault they're getting fired. You have to be honest with why they're being fired. And then, of course, you're going to have to expect it to be awkward, but you're going to have to, this is when you've got to stay strong.
Yeah, firing people sucks. And someone gave me a bit of advice years ago when they were firing me. No, just kidding. Which is that lead with the headline. Like don't give a big story and then go, and therefore we're letting you go. Like, right. It's like, that's the first thing that gets said.
Listen.
And that can be, that can make the meeting very short.
Yeah. It's bye-bye time.
It's bye-bye time that's very empathetic.
Yeah. It's bye-bye time for your career.
It's over.
Yeah, I hope you're learning from this, everyone. I hope you.
I've never had to fire. It's never been so bad that I couldn't just like get through this season and be like, I prefer this instead of this. Like I hopefully, you do your due diligence, but sometimes it just, I've been in rooms where a person has not worked out.
Yeah, it happens. We don't want to tell you it's always going to work out, especially even after you do all that work, you do the due diligence, you do the meetings, you do all those things, and then sometimes it just doesn't work. And sometimes it's like a short writer's room, so you can just kind of like make your way through it. And then again, like, next season you don't bring that person back. But like sometimes you're in a situation, especially if you're on like an American show and you've got like, I don't know, like 30, 40 weeks of work, and you're going to have to be pumping out shows. And the thing about American shows, you're in prep, production, and post-production all at the same time. So anytime there's friction or any of those things, it's going to be even harder to do the job that's incredibly hard.
Mm-hmm.
You got to rip that Band-Aid off.
Ouch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm also, because I'm hairy, too, so it always hurts.
Hairy where? We want to know specifics.
Yeah, where are you putting your Band-Aids?
We're everywhere. I just feel like I got a lot of situations.
Gross.
Making sure we keep that in.
Yeah, the gross part? That's very judgmental.
Yeah, it's nice though. But
that's me as showrunner. Super.
Yeah.
Here's a pitch. That's come from my personal experience and my gross. Moving on.
Disgusting. Sweat. No, thank you.
That's also a good segue. In the room. So, couple different versions of the room now. Especially these days, you've got virtual rooms, you've got in-person rooms. One of the things I've learned to do especially over the last few years is check in with writers about accessibility.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little email at the top saying, hey, just checking in on accessibility, making sure that your producers are part of that. And I think that's just a quick way to just kind of like let the writers know that you care.
Yep.
That you're thinking about them. You want to make sure that they're having an okay time, because you just never know. Like sometimes things pop up. I'm like, oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
These are conversations I have before the room starts with individuals. Like, this is how.
Yeah.
This is the culture of the room. This is how I like to lead. This is how I like to collaborate. I like to laid the groundwork before
Yeah.
we
And
started
Anthony's
pitching.
like, our room's in an eagle's nest. Can you get there?
It's
Do
true.
you need transpo?
Do
The eagles are there still, so there's
will
that
you
to contend
need
with.
someone to bring you up that tree? We'll find somebody. But I need to know in advance.
Well, it's true though that you have like you've gone through all this work to select a group of people. Now you want to take care of them.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that they feel supported and that their needs are being met, that they've got everything that they need, so that there are no excuses.
No excuses.
I've given you everything. If
Bring
you can't,
me the world.
if
No,
you-
but you know what? I hear so much about toxic rooms. I haven't been part of a toxic room or so. You know what I mean? But
I got some bad news.
Yeah, but
if you don't know who the toxic person is,
then maybe it's you who's the problem. But yeah, like I hear a lot about toxic rooms. Like every
Yeah.
single room I've been in, somebody has been part of a toxic room.
There
And
are
so-
a lot of them out there. And this is which is one of the reasons why we're doing this podcast, because I feel like I've brought people who are empathetic and really good, and also people think highly of. So you're learning from people that people want to work with, and that's one of the reasons why I think this podcast is helpful, because there are a lot of people out there that we probably all know personally. We already had heard stories about where it was not accessible. It was not fun to be a part of. It felt very toxic, and I didn't want to, like, anytime I hear a writer that's like, I didn't want to go to the room, but it was a check, so I had to go and do it. I'm like,
that
that's
sucks.
a terrible place to be.
Being part of a writer's room is the funnest.
it should be
Yeah.
it should be the dream job. It should be something that you're like, I've dreamt about this and now I'm doing it. I get to do it every day, not like, I gotta go to work today.
No, isn't it funny? Like when we're show running, we lose sight of how it's the dream job sometimes, just because it's such a grind.
It's
It's
so
so
much work.
hard. I'm getting network notes. Fuck that person. What do you mean I can't do that? You know what I mean? So like I lose sight of how much of the dream job it is, but I do hope that the other writers, I do actually try to
Facilitate.
protect the writers
Mhm.
from kind of the trauma I'm experiencing when we're out of the room and we're dealing with
All the
whatever,
different things that we're dealing with.
all of the different things.
totally. Even when we were, in the depths of COVID and doing virtual rooms, I had to remind myself that my face is always visible, and like
Always.
it's one of the squares, and I have to, like, even though I'm thinking about lots of other things, I can't just be like, like just a scowling man,
Yeah.
because people are like pitching things and they're like looking for clues.
Yeah.
And it's much
Science of
easier.
life.
It's much easier to give those clues in person when you're like engaging
So much
with someone.
easier.
It's
And it's
hard.
not like just all the faces in a grid.
Yeah.
Just like
I
where you
felt
can
like that.
scrutinize.
Did you feel when running a room over Zoom that you're actually putting out a little bit more life force and energy just to keep it alive?
You're performing.
Yeah.
You feel
Yeah.
like you got to make sure because I'm still, I still do Zoom rooms from time to time. In fact, I try because for accessibility reasons, sometimes people like them better. So I try to kind of
Sure.
do a hybrid situation where I'll do Zoom some days, we'll do in person, because I feel like there's so much benefit to the in person stuff, especially
So
for
much.
comedies.
Yeah, and snacks.
Having the people and snacks, just being able to share snacks.
And at 11 o'clock, what are we eating for lunch,
Yeah,
Oh
it's
guys?
my
like,
God,
oh,
that
man.
40 minutes.
40 minutes minimum.
But so on Zoom, it was like, yeah, you feel like as a showrunner, especially, you have to be kind of like engaged all the time. And I think one of the things that I tried to do was utilize breaks if you're on Zoom, like making sure you have
Always.
breaks.
Yeah.
Limit the time on screen, and even finding things for writers to go off and do, right? Like, it's just like, hey, we need some people to kind of like break this B story. Why don't you two go off and kind of like work on it? And just giving people a little breaks from the monotony of being on screen, because it's like, it's true. You're sitting in your place somewhere, or a coffee shop or a line, and it's just like you've got this screen that you're locked in on, and then who knows what else around you. It's
It's actually not the funnest. Trying to break story and having whatever 5 to 10 people just staring blankly and having to keep the ship going. It's not the funnest part for me.
Yeah, it's important to remember that, like, when you were not the showrunner, like what you were looking for from the showrunner, and
Mhm.
what you were taking from their energy, like what cues you were taking from them. And I think, as for the break thing, I think it's really important to like to set out in front, like we're gonna have a break in the morning, 15 minutes. It's gonna be around this time. We're gonna have a lunch. It's gonna be this much time. It's gonna be around this time. So people can be like, I have to call my dentist. I'm gonna schedule that for this 15 minutes here. Like people have stuff to do still, and to be
not the showrunners. The showrunners can't call the dentist. We're not.
I have my assistant call my dentist and say he's not coming again.
Nice.
He's not coming again. He's got no teeth left. There's no reason for him to see you.
Don't worry about
scurvy.
it. He's scurved up.
Scurved up. That's our pitch. Let's make a show, right? Scurved up. A bunch of pirates and.
I know some people who buy it.
Scurved up.
Mine scurved up.
Scurved up.
But yeah, like so you want to have that sort of like that framework of like you want to make it accessible. You also want to be like any kind of toxicity. You want to have some things in place for people to, some levers for people to pull to be like, hey, I'm uncomfortable. So, and people need to know that on the offset. Like this is, if there's anything that happens that you feel crosses the line or whatever, this, and it can't be the showrunner that's in charge of that. It has to be like another person.
Right.
And
being clear about who to talk to when there are certain things they need to talk to you about. Whether it's, again, certain things they can, again, they can come and talk to you about, but also they're going to need access to potentially producers.
Yeah.
Or even if there's like, say you have a co-EP or a number 2 that people could be comfortable with talking, then they can talk to that person.
When I throw my pen and call you an idiot, this is what you're going to want to do.
Here's what you're going to talk to.
Yeah.
To my twin sibling
who doesn't give a shit. You want those things in place. You want, because you're not going to get the best out of those people you hire unless they feel good, unless they feel safe and they feel like their ideas are welcome and they're welcome and appreciated.
When you're doing the in-person rooms for you guys, what is it? What's the setup usually like? You just got like a big screen somewhere? Because it's interesting. Like for me, one of the things I do now is I have like I use some kind of software. Like I use Miro Board. There's also like other like Pro Writer tools and those kinds of things where on the Zoom you can use it as like a shared screen, but then when you're in person you can just put it up on like a TV screen or something like that and just kind of use that as like a place to kind of put ideas. And
I still like the old school. I still like cards. I still like whiteboards. I still like bad handwriting.
So here's why I stopped doing it. Only because like I do like that stuff too, but then like later on I'll be like somewhere and I'll be like, oh, I want to check the board, and then I can just pull out my phone and be like, oh, that's right, there's that thing that I was thinking about, rather than having to come back into the room and be like, oh. But then I think the way you guys do it is healthier because then I'm not working at home.
Yeah, like the coordinator's writing the notes. There's somebody still writing notes of the day and taking pictures of the board.
I see like that when I'm in the writing room and I look up and I see the episodes and the characters and all the stories, like there's a visceral, like you can look at it and be like, oh, that character's not in 3 episodes in a row. I need to do something about that. Whereas like, but if you're outside of the room, you don't have that. Like I get what you're saying. Yeah. I'll take a picture of the dang thing. Yeah. But I do like, I just like it feels so good to put. It feels like
you're accomplishing things too.
Yes.
I love seeing it start filling in and it's like, oh my God, we're almost there.
Yeah. Yeah. We need a story with these characters. We don't have that. So yeah, I think like for me, that's the setup. Do I hear the air conditioning?
No, it got loud. Yeah.
Okay.
No,
we're
nothing.
On the highway now.
Yeah.
We're taking the show on the road.
Were you in the Kim's room? You were in the Kim's room.
I was in the Kim's room for some of the 2, 3, and 4.
There was a lot of cards that didn't get to make the.
Yes.
Didn't get to make the episodes, and just like a card graveyard.
There was a card graveyard.
Yeah,
I think every show's got card graveyards.
That one had the most.
This one was like a landfill. It was a card.
Yeah,
it was like a mass grave.
Screwed up.
I think but I do like when you first come in. If it's a first season, especially, I love you have that first. If you're lucky and you've got a full week or at least a few days to just talk about the show.
Yeah,
and I love to just generate ideas about each aspect of the show, like every character, like we talked about what's funny about this character, what's funny about this, what do you guys think is funny about this person, and then let's prove it by writing a bunch of ideas and pitching them, and then the best ones become cards. And then fun. You have a bunch of do that with locations, you do that with just the theme of the show. Then you have a bunch of little pieces that, if you can find a storyline that goes through 2 or 3 of these things that we already love and think are funny, then it's just a fun way to, you want to generate those kind of ideas and not just talk about it ethereally and have a discussion, but to have those cards on the wall. I love those cards.
Yeah, I love seeing ideas stack. And I think it's just one of those things where it's like, again, it just, the more accomplished you feel, the more you feel like, oh, we're doing it. We're doing the job. It's happening. And there's also something nice too about having the blank wall at the beginning of the process too, where you're like, we're gonna build.
We have unlimited budget.
Yeah, unlimited. We can do anything we want. It's the world. The world is our oyster.
Can I ask about your process in terms of, here's a character, let's throw some funny on the wall, and then the funny becomes a card. Like, I've not worked like that. So can you explain a bit more?
Sure. Especially for a first season, where you've got, and I don't know if we're getting off topic. Is this okay?
No, yeah.
Am I allowed to ask questions?
Yes. Yes.
But am I allowed to answer?
No.
Okay. Well, this is going to make it difficult. I'll answer by asking another question.
Great.
No, I think in a first season where you've had so much time to write a pilot and maybe a second script, you've had months, and now you got to break, a story every 4 or 5 days. And so I always just like for people to have read the material and be like, what do you like about this character? What do you think is funny about them? And what I'm looking for is like, what is the repeatable, what is the engine of this person? And then once we discover what that is, or we think we discover what that is, I'm like, prove it. Let's everyone go off for 40 minutes and write moments, lines of dialogue, stories, interactions, anything you can think of that fits this thing that we've decided is funny about this character.
Oh, okay.
And now come and pitch them to me. And we may discover that thing is actually not funny about that person. or it's not funny enough that it's an engine that we can rely on every week.
So you're finding an engine for the characters. Like, each character has that repeatable.
And I'm not being mechanical, but I'm just like, what's fun and funny about this character? What do we think? And then once we know that, then we can start finding stories that are over the plate for that aspect. What's going to highlight? What's going to be a thing that highlights why these characters are funny together? And so people will pitch things, and it's us creating a target together. We're saying, like, this doesn't work. This idea is perfect for what we're talking about. And you create this sort of like, these are the things that are good about this character. And then the very best of those ideas become cards on the wall, because they generate, like, everyone's laughing, and we generate
energy.
There's like there's more thoughts people are piling on. And so we know there's a thing that we're excited to write that's right over the plate from this character, based on an aspect of that character that came from the source material, the pilot. And so that way, you're creating a story, you're creating a bunch of episodes that are related to the pilot, and not just like, we wrote a pilot and now, like, what is the show about?
Yeah.
And so you can do that for every character. You can do that for locations. You can do that for any aspect of the show. And I find that's a great way to just, anytime there's a lull in the room and people aren't volunteering information, it's just like, all right, what's funny about this? What's funny about these two people? You look you see your board, and you're like, oh, we don't have stories between these two characters yet.
Yeah, that's a fun one too.
What's funny about these two together?
Throwing characters together that you don't think belong together. Like, one of the things that, especially with ensemble comedies, I always tell people, like, find characters that have kinship and conflict. Like, well, how are the characters the same? Like, what do the characters agree on? What do the characters disagree on? And then that's going to create, like, fun opportunities for you to put these two characters on the same side of a conversation, and then put them against each other in a different conversation. I think that's, like, just fun ways to build out these worlds.
Yeah, and then people get to know what you're looking for, and that's the most important thing. So I think part of the reason why there was that just a forest of cards in Kim's Convenience sometimes, because it was sometimes difficult to know what the showrunners were looking for. It was sometimes I couldn't discern what idea would land or what would not. And that was a show with an incredibly long writing room. It was like months and months.
6 months. Like, it was long.
It was so long. And, and so, like, stories would evolve, and then we would take the A story from one story and put it in another, like, characters would change. It was just sort of a very casual approach to sort of, whereas we don't have, none of us have that time.
No,
Ever again.
we don't have
Ever
that
again.
budget. We don't
Never
have the budget
again.
for that kind of time anymore.
No.
Which actually, you know what, guys, y'all are good at segues, because this actually leads right into my next point, which is about creating clear goals. Creating clear goals for the day, for the week,
Yep.
for the characters. I think if you do that, then you don't have to like destroy sandcastles. You can come in and be like, oh, good, that's the sandcastle I asked you for.
Yeah.
Here's a little flag for the
For the
For
top.
the top.
top.
Can we get this down to the floor somehow?
Oh no,
Oh,
we really
no.
should have built this downstairs. But like that's one of those things that I feel like you as a showrunner should.
Yes.
If you get to, we were talking about this. I was talking about this with another showrunner. Like sometimes you get to a place where you're like, I don't know what I want. And that's okay. But then say that, like say like, listen, I don't know where I want to be right now.
I don't want to be in that position with 10 people looking
No,
at
I really
me.
don't want to be in a
No.
position either. But like there are times when you're like, "Fuck, I don't know what we need to do right now. I don't know what we need for this moment, and that's fine. Open that up. But I think as a showrunner, your writers are going to be looking to you to find out what the plan is. What do we need? And even if you don't have a specific goal, like you can be like, today I just want to hear a bunch of different story ideas. Let's just get a bunch of stories up, and then at least now I have something to look at and something to decide upon, or something like, hey, listen, we need to break an episode. We need to finish breaking an episode today because I've got to get it to the network by whatever, right? Like, be open with your writers about those goals, because I've been in rooms where the showrunners had not been clear about those goals or not been open about what they're trying to do, and then they have to scramble and they have to work harder at the end of the day, and then all of a sudden you're like, we can't leave because we have to do this thing. It's like, oh, I didn't know that was something we had to do. Like, now we got to stay and eat dinner here and then be here till 2 a.m. finishing something that I didn't even think that we needed to do right now. So
2 a.m.
I've been in writer. There's been time, like, don't forget, like, especially in the States, like there are times when it's like you're in production at the same time as like you're in production while you're working on next week's episode, and things will happen. Like, it's even like on shows like multicamps, where you have the week where day one you do a table read, and then you rewrite based on the table read. You give the director and the actors a new script on Monday night. They are working on the blocking all day Tuesday. You watch it Tuesday afternoon, like with the blocking. Then you're like, yeah, all this needs to change again.
Oh my God.
You're rewriting Tuesday night because they're going to need scripts in the morning so that they can rehearse again before the network watches it on Wednesday. Network watches it on Wednesday. You get all the notes from them. Now you're rewriting Wednesday night because on Thursday you start shooting, or on Friday you start shooting. So there's a process there. So like basically for us, like on the Thundermans, Tuesday nights were like our late nights because we wouldn't do the run through until like 3:30, 4 o'clock, and then like you're not really starting the rewrite until like 5 o'clock. And so you're like, okay. The first thing you do when you get back to the room is like, what's for dinner? Like that's the first 40 minutes. getting
Which-
back to the room.
Which heavy meal is going to fuel
Gonna
grease-laden,
stop.
delivered, lukewarm food is going to fuel this
Yeah.
all-nighter? Yeah.
But even then, like the showrunners in that show were great because they were always clear about the goals. They were always like, okay, we need to finish this tonight. We're not going home until we finish, but here's what we need. Here's what we need to fix from that run through we just did. Here are the things that we need to work on. They would have to go do some meetings, and then we would just kind of like work on our things, but we had clear goals, and so we would get them done at a reasonable time. But there are just times when you're just there late.
Every show I've been able to co-run in Canada feels like the train left the station already and the house is on fire. And you know what I mean? Like there's never been playtime in any of the shows that I've had to work on. It's like, we need to break the A today.
Yeah.
We need to break the B and C today. We have to make this is on a daily, and then I don't know what it's like to come in. I'm also like a high delivering Asian person. So who does his homework, even though I'm a dropout. But like, there's never been a day. I can't fathom a day going in going, what are we feeling today? Like that doesn't exist in my experience. It's
The only
always
times
been,
I've had it has been like when I've built it into the process.
well,
Like,
that's
right-
nice.
Yeah, like when you know that you are like, okay, we're in a place where we can like, I've asked the producers for this time.
Fun day.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where it's like, and because they're like, well, how much time do you need? And I'll build it in my schedule where I'm like,
Oh,
I need this time to really figure it out. And the way I get the money for it is I say you're going to save money on the back end if we do this now. Because if we try to do this later, it's going to cost us a whole bunch of money while we're trying to figure out with production designers and with directors and blah blah blah. But if we do it early, we do the work early, it'll help us down the line.
100%.
Yeah.
Every hour of writing time before prep is worth 10 hours of
For
writing
sure.
time.
Absolutely.
Prep. And
Yeah.
so getting that stuff done early, because, you know, we're talking about creating a target and expectations for your writers. As soon as prep starts, you got to create that target for every other department, and you're having all those meetings, especially in the first season.
Yes. Yep.
No one knows what this thing is yet.
No.
And if you're not there helping make decisions, someone's going to make that decision on your behalf. You're not going to be happy about it.
You're
Yeah.
not gonna like that decision.
What if the basketball had a funny face on it? No, it's just a basketball. Just a regular, they're playing just a normal game of basketball, please.
Oh, we already drew all the faces in the basketball.
No, I like the first couple of days of Blue Sky. Like, but that's maximum that I've had.
Yeah.
It's like a
Yeah.
couple of days. It's like, let's dream big.
But I think there is
You
a
lose.
job jar that built up. There was always like, okay, someone's got to run the note. These are the things that got to happen. Someone's got to run the notes for
Mhm.
this episode. Someone
Yep.
needs to punch up this episode. Someone needs to, and it's just like on the board. These are the tasks that need to get done today.
Yeah.
And then once you're done that, then you can start, on what other kind of writing you're doing
Yeah.
for other scripts. And it's so important to be clear about what the expectations are, and then also clear about, what are the kinds of stories you want? What are the kinds of things that, and so people know that what they're running towards, and hopefully they're finding that weird Venn diagram where it's like,
Yeah.
this is what I want, this is what you do, and this little slice in the middle is what we're looking for.
You need limitations. You need
Yeah.
Otherwise, if people are pitching in, if people are just even in Blue Sky, when we talk about Blue Sky, you're still pitching for this show. You're still pitching for these characters. We understand these characters. We understand this show. We understand this world. We know we're going to go certain places. So you're pitching in this. You're pitching in the things that will work for these people in these places. When you get to a place where it's like anything goes, and you're like, oh no, this is going to take so much longer to figure out how to even just
Yes.
narrow all these ideas down so that we can figure out which ones we can actually use.
Because sometimes it's like, this is a hilarious joke, but our show doesn't do this.
Yeah.
If
But this is Law and Order.
Law and Order Saskatchewan.
yeah, great joke. It doesn't really fit the tone of Law and Order. But yeah, you don't want that situation. I've been in that situation. Someone pitched, everyone's laughing. I'm like, this is so funny, but we like
Can't
I
do
know.
it.
this undoes the show.
Yeah.
We can never come back from this. It's a great way for the kids to die in the show, but
But
then they're dead.
then the children were ruined by this show.
Yeah.
Do you have you ever found yourself having to work it out in front of everybody and just say, wait for a second, and then you're just speaking nonsense and your beautiful mind diagrams, and then
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
You need that time to, because you're taking in. One of the things I always tell people, like, as a showrunner, you're going to be getting input all the time.
Yeah.
Input from all these different places. Your job is the output, but you can't just snap your fingers and output will come. You have to kind of like take it all in. I remember there are times when we were like in the office and people pitching stuff, and then Greg Daniels would literally lay on the ground and just put his feet up somewhere, and just like people would be pitching stuff to him, and then he just like, all right, I got it. Again, he's just like, you just need that time sometimes to just kind of like figure out, because it's important to make decisions, but you want to make it an informed decision before you start moving down a path.
Yeah. And yes, absolutely. I mean, that's amazing. Just lying down, receiving all that.
I was like, what's
now,
happening?
Now I got it.
Yeah.
And I think that breaking process is so important that you got to be brave enough to, if there's something not right with it and it's not fixable, to tear it all down and not, sometimes you don't have a choice. Sometimes the schedule is so tight, you don't have a choice. But I always think it's worth having a super solid outline where the story's not going to change in draft and from draft to draft. Like you really need to nail that. So
the outline for me is the hardest one.
Yes, I think it's the most important one for me.
It's the most important.
Yeah.
I always thought that getting the outline is harder than getting once the outline is done, then it's just like fun dialogue times and maybe change a couple of situations. But that outline, that really cracks my brain. Like that's hard.
Yeah.
So like as you're saying, if you can get all those done before you're in production, it's
That's
just
wild.
so much better.
I don't even know what that means.
I don't know
that.
You know what?
experience.
It's also part of the hardships for you is like you're being brought into these shows when they're already like, well, this is the schedule, this is what we're doing, this is what's happening. If you get to a place where it's your first season or what, like you can have those I've had those conversations with broadcasters, producers saying, here's the time I need to get these scripts in order before we start prep. And they're like, oh, well, we need it done this fast. And I'm like, well, if I'm done the scripts before prep, guess how much money you're going to save, because everyone's designing the show, everyone's designing the characters, everyone's designing everything based on what the full season is rather than just what the first couple episodes are. Like I remember we had, because we had a delay for Overlord in the Underwoods, we ended up finishing all 20 scripts before we started prep. And our production designer designed the house for episode 20, and he didn't have to make any changes to the house for the entire run of the show because he knew what all the episodes were going to be. And it saved production so much money just having that information.
It's also like you won't be carrying those writers into prep. It's sad.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's useful to have writers in prep for them to see what it's like and what affects scripts. But like, you have to have those writers writing anyway. Yeah. And you're actually going to have more value when it's not prep and you're with them the whole time.
It's again, so it's and the thing with like the writers, one of the things we're talking about with writers, getting the best out of writers. Mm-hmm. Have you guys found? I know it's fun talking with you two because I know that your rooms love you guys and that you guys are the kinds of showrunners that people just have a fun time in their room. There are a lot of showrunners that are not like that. One of the things that I've figured out is you have to find a way as a showrunner to remove fear. If people are afraid to upset you or afraid that you're not going to like an idea, afraid that, you know, that they're going to feel that they're going to say something dumb or stupid. Like I always try and get people to remove that fear from the beginning. Like, don't be afraid to pitch. If it's something that's ridiculous, we'll have a good laugh about it and then we'll move forward. So I would always just say, like, if you're running a room, do your best to remove that fear aspect from the room and acknowledge people, I think, and continue to appreciate them as they pitch ideas. I'm like, oh, like, you know, even just like, oh, you know, even if it's not the right thing for your show, you can just be like, oh, you know, not that, but there's something here, like, or even this is a lot of ways you can kind of handle people pitching things to you that just don't feel quite right.
There's a tension that's really hard to get. That's somewhere between moving forward at a pace that works and allowing everyone to have their ideas, and you know, finding that sort of way of getting people to focus and hone their ideas in a direction where you want it to go, or that it's productive. You know, because conversations, you get a bunch of funny or interesting people in a room, conversations are going to start to spiral, and you know, especially if the show pulls from people's personal lives, and there's hey, I was in a situation like this, and then questions come up.
You can't shut it down. It's like, I'm sorry about your trauma, but can we keep it moving?
Yeah, that's really sad story about your dog dying today. But there is a tension between like making people feel heard and receiving their ideas in good faith, but also like, you know, like time to move on, time to focus, and there's a way to do that without hurting people.
What is it? The coxswain? What's the person on a boat? Like, you still have
coxswain?
Coxswain?
Coxman's
overdrive?
Peanuts.
Yeah.
Hard T.
But yeah, like, we're driving the ship. But like, I'll always give space just because generally, as a person who hasn't felt heard in all of the rooms that I've been a part of, like I'm always slightly connected to when I was given the chance to be in a room and didn't feel like I belonged. Like, that guy always exists. So that kind of part of my empathy is always with that. But then it's like, but after a while, it's like, okay, we got to go. You've had your time. We've processed enough, but we have to go. And that helps with the goal setting in the top of the day. It's like, thank you very much, but we still need to break A.
Yeah, we got some work to do here.
I'm like, this tension that you're talking about, like, I never have thought about it like that, but it's true. We're living, because everything is all, for me, it's instinctual and there's a time, but like what you're saying is really like resonating with me, because we do need to let the cats out to run around in the room just for the energy. But then we really have to wrangle the cats. Like we can't let the cats dictate the job. So there is that.
And you never know what's going to yield, like what kind of weird divergent discussion.
It might need one more minute to have that breakthrough that isn't the cliche first thought that everyone has.
Yeah, I'm always okay going on like random thoughts, random things. Someone just brings up like, did you see that YouTube video of it happens? That's gonna happen. Like I trying to fight against the room watching a stupid YouTube clip, you're not gonna win that battle.
There was
you might as well just
there was a day
watch it.
in the Beaverton room, like years ago. I worked on the Beaverton had a TV show, and I worked on it. And there was this meme that came out. It was like a grid of 9 animals, and you could choose 3 to defend you, and the other 6 were coming to attack you.
I love this game.
Hours. Just hours.
I want to pause this podcast right now so we can play.
I'm just like, there's a lot of killer bees, though. It's like a lot of
full
animals
form.
would be really turned off by the killer bees. You got that and a couple crocodiles, and maybe.
What about the hawk? Do we work with the hawk, or do we go against the hawk?
I feel the hawk is defeatable without any other animals.
Fuck that hawk.
On my own, I can just get that hawk.
Yeah.
And absolutely. And sometimes there's a fun bonding sort of part,
which you need,
which you
is great.
But you gotta. That's
you have to know
your
when
job.
You have to know when it's time to be like, all right, let's get back to
that's exactly the voice.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back.
With love. Shut up.
With love.
Respectfully.
Silence.
Silence.
Yeah.
But yeah, don't fight it, but at the same time, you're gonna have to be responsible. You have to be the parent that says, "All right, let's focus."
I think my parenting style is like I want to be the camp counselor that everybody loves. I think that's my hit. That's my beat.
I think the other thing you can do is hire one of the writers who is not.
Who's not that person?
Because I have been in the rooms where I'm like, hey, "What are we doing?" Then one of the writers is like, "Anthony." We do have to get that.
We gotta roll.
You were the one that said we have to finish this by a certain time. Like, I guess I did.
Anyway, the storks were like Smurfs underwater. What were they called? The snorks?
The snorks.
The snorks.
Yeah, the snorks.
Not the storks.
I was like, the storks were like Smurfs underwater, like Golden Girls in
the
space.
Snorks were Smurfs underwater.
Yeah.
And it was really weird because their snorkels were always under the water. Like, what?
Yeah, I don't know what
are you
purpose
breathing
they
air
served.
or if you're just a fish, be a fish. Why are you?
I didn't even. Yeah, they never went up for air.
No, they never did. They never
okay, guys, let's get back to the podcast. All right, let's get back to the.
So the next thing I wanted to talk about, see it happening in decisions. The importance of making a decision. It is as a showrunner, you have to know. Like there have been times I've been working with showrunners who didn't want to make a decision, and it just led to so much pain.
How do they get that job? Why am I out here knocking on doors and that showrunner gets that job?
I'll tell you more after the fact. But this is one of those things, like it's so important to.
I'll tell you after when I'm gone.
Yeah, once Kurt's gone, I'll
I've left.
No, but this is like one of the it's I've just been a writer in those positions, and I've really learned to just like figure out a way to make a decision, because I'll honestly I will say, like, a lot of the times we're not making decisions because there's a little bit of imposter syndrome where we're like, ooh, am I the right person to say this, or am I the person to make that choice? But you're the showrunner, you have been hired for this reason. Make the choice, make a decision. I would also say, like, a lot of times if you go with your gut and go with your first instinct, that's usually the right thing. And if you're wrong, guess what? Fix it later.
You can fix it later.
Yeah.
I think that it sometimes you're paralyzed with like, well, I don't really know necessarily right now. I can't tell. Bruce McCullough would always say, I can't tell if that's right now, which was I loved. It was like, okay, great. Like, we're still thinking about this, but when it comes to making a decision, sometimes you just gotta. And sometimes the decision is almost immaterial. It's just someone needs a direction to go in.
Yeah.
Like someone will come to you on set, like if it's not writing, like a props person will come, like a blue bag or a red bag. And I'm like, red.
You know what?
For sure.
The with a bag or without a bag question on set is actually my Achilles heel question.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, because then I know it'll affect some weird scene later. Like,
the sound guy's like, no bag. No bag. What if they don't have a bag today?
What's inside the bag? Just a bunch of nails.
Yeah,
and
nails and marbles.
marbles. Is that all right? No bag. We're gonna go no bag.
No bag.
Yeah, and I think like, sometimes there's an idea that seems really really good, but there's an idea that you can execute.
Yeah.
There's something that's over the plate for
Yeah.
you. You're the one on the floor. You're the one in the editing room.
Yeah.
Like you gotta sometimes just be like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do that.
Because I think what happens is your wheels start to spin, you start to think about other things, and then if a decision doesn't get made and you try to just kick it down the road, it will come back to
Yeah,
haunt
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Then it becomes you have to do ADR in
Yeah.
the over the shoulder and rewrite.
And
the
I'm not saying make decisions without just make a decision without thinking about it. I think if you need time to ruminate, it's like say you need some time, but like don't waste days and days and weeks before you pull the trigger on something, because it'll be difficult for you to come back from that.
I don't know who said it about imposter syndrome and being paralyzed by like to make decisions because when did you guys get over the imposter syndrome? Like, was there ever a
I'm
moment
still
where?
not over it.
Yeah, got bad news for your friend.
It don't go away. This is
Well, I never had it, so I don't know what these guys. These probably not going.
it's one of those things I tell people all the time. Like, you're gonna have it when you're starting. You're gonna have it when you're in the middle of it. You're gonna have it at the end. There are times when people are just like, it's like, oh well, what do you think, Anthony? I'm like, well, why are you asking me? And it's like, oh yeah, I guess I've been a showrunner for like 15 years, and I'm doing a whole ass podcast about it, and I've done a bunch of boot camps, and
Like, there's
I
areas
suppose I know a few things.
there's areas I have like I don't have imposter syndrome directing. I don't have imposter syndrome composing. Like,
Mhm.
but show running, I don't know how to quite get over that hump. It always feels a little bit scary because
There are so many aspects of production that
Yeah.
you need to have some sort of grasp on. And I remember the first few years of anytime I was on the floor of any show, like just going around and being like, what do all these people do?
yeah, yeah.
and trying to get, some sort of sense of what people are doing. So you can appreciate their work.
Of course,
You can
yeah.
Yeah.
understand what they're doing and be like, I saw what you did. You saved us 10 minutes. Thank you so much. But also just so that you can start writing your scripts so that they support all the work that the hundreds of people are doing on. But I remember the first time I had the kickoff meeting with Bell when the show got greenlit, and it was like, it was a Zoom meeting with like 30 people. And it's like, hi, we're from the sales team. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my God, there's so many people.
So many people.
And I was like, oh, there are like millions of dollars at play here. And I'm
Yeah.
just being like, build a school, build
Yeah.
a bedroom. And, there's a funny thing that happened early on in my career. I was working on Mr. D in season 1, and I wrote, it was just an establishing shot, a slug establishing shot, and I just wrote a bird flies by. I was just fucking around. And the meetings,
I already know where this
my
is going.
God.
and like the
so
people, the
hard.
panic on set, like, can we do this afterwards? Is this like a thing we can paint in? Is this like, do we need a Wrangler? And I was
2
like,
hours.
oh, okay, I understand what
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. Are we gonna? What kind of bird? How
Yeah.
big does the bird need to be? There's a bird guy out there, but he's only got these kinds of birds.
Yeah, I
Um,
should have leaned into it. No, it needs to be a falcon.
I changed my answer from before about like when you're reading a couple of pages and it needs to be a person who understands production. Because that it's true. Sometimes that script that I'm reading, they're dead if it's something that's gonna take me like 7 hours just to execute
in
something
an
that's
unlimited
nothing.
budget, sure, you can tell a really cool story. But like, what about if there's 2 people talking in a room?
Yeah.
What can you do there? And
Yeah.
that's
That's
really
the skill, and that's why theater people are good for those moments.
It is absolutely so. So the I was just thinking about I was thinking about that bird, and then writers writing things where they're just like, oh, I guess I'm just gonna write this funny thing, and then we'll see what happens. Unless you as showrunners bring your writers to set and allow them opportunities to kind of see how things go after because they might type something and be like, oh, that feels all right. Like I was working on Run the Burbs. Catherine Niker just wrote like, oh, the mother braids the daughter's hair, and then was like, and I knew what it was going to take
We
to
have to
do
reset
that.
We have to reset that.
Exactly what I was thinking, and I was like, but you know what? It's a nice moment for the two of them, and it
Yes.
felt like it was connected to the episode. I was like, I'm willing to spend the time on that. But then when Catherine was like, oh my God, I had no idea that just writing this shoot right
Yeah.
here was going to
Yeah,
cost us so much time.
continuity
People are
nightmare.
just like running back and forth. Like, can we reset that? Are we starting from the beginning of the scene? Are we going to start from the middle of the scene? And I was like, do you get it now, Catherine? Everything you write, there's a cost.
I like the idea that the hair person is at the video village going like,
so tense. I hate this whole I hate the close up.
Yeah.
Whoever is editing that part. I hate this whole thing. I'm triggered.
She's doing it wrong.
But it's like, unless you allow, like, as showrunners, bring your writers to set. And sometimes what I'll do is I'll fight for just a little bit of budget where I can bring writers in to get paid to be there while their scripts are being shot. Because it's so, like, especially for Canadian shows, it's so hard to get writers to be able to pay writers to be able to be on set, because by the time you've done the scripts, the producers want to use that money in other things. And I get that, but I think there's an important thing for us as writing showrunners to continue to pay it forward and allow them to kind of learn the job so that they can become good showrunners too.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've paid to be
On
where,
set.
where the show is being shot,
Yeah.
and to be a part of it, and
So
that's
you're saying there's a business opportunity.
there is a business opportunity. Well,
Sell
it
tickets
shouldn't
to your
be
show.
like that. It shouldn't be like that. But for me, that was an investment. And I think every writer has to make it happen, no matter what.
Find a way.
To just see what it takes to reset and the questions that actors have, and that and why things change, and like you write a script and then you go home and then you see the episode end and you're like, why did all this change? And sometimes it's just because an actor could not pronounce a word.
Yeah.
You're just like, well, now I'm gonna rewrite this whole section or whatever.
Library. Does it hurt your soul a little bit that because we know how the sausage is made, that we'll immediately want to strike down the beautiful hair braiding scene just because, like, as soon as you said it, I said it's going to be it's a reset nightmare, it's a continuity. And so, working in Canadian television, it's the art of doing the most with the very littlest. Like, that's actually the job. Like, we can't have 4 people in the B story. Like, it has to be 2 people. We have to that, like, I don't know, you talk about the American experience, but like me, I don't know how to make a show anymore with my imagination and a long leash. Like I only think of
budget,
location, maximum cast, logistics. Can I shoot the episode in 3 days?
And those things will keep you working for ever and ever, because producers love hearing that from showrunners, because there are a lot of showrunners who have only worked on Netflix budgets, and they're the ones who are like, well, why can't I have 6 dragons?
I want it.
You gonna do it VFX dragons? No, I want real dragons.
Then the drone comes out of the bathtub, out the window, circles the house once, and then gets in the car.
I wrote that. I'm like, oh, it's easy. You just have I've been fully rewritten because I didn't my first script. I was fully rewritten. Thank you, Aaron Martin. Thank you for giving me the production fee. I remember telling him, I'm like, do I still do I need to share my production fee with you? You literally, because I didn't really understand production. Like, I came from an indie world. I thought, oh my God, we're on Netflix. It's a sci-fi show. We can write anything. But I didn't. You can't.
You learn.
You
Even Netflix
can't.
has got.
There's limits. Yeah.
Yep,
Even
limitations.
on an Apple show I worked on, I was like, this is the most expensive thing I've ever worked on. But there's, no matter what, you still don't have enough time.
Yep.
And you're under the gun the whole time.
Always. But I do think it's important, once you've learned how to not only like structure something, but like write under to budget, but to find those moments, like to be like, I can take a moment, I can take the extra half an hour it's going to take to shoot this scene to have
it's going to mean something.
You can start making choices. Like, I think there's that first stage where you're not thinking about production, you're writing stuff, and then you become hyper aware and you're like, 2 people in a blank void. And then there's that sort of third tier where you're like, you're able to be like, if I just keep it small here, I can go outside and be outside for a day.
Exterior.
Yeah.
sure
If I
you're
just
right.
keep this low, then I can have more extras in this one scene that I need. You start playing the money ball that way.
He keeps talking about two people in a room, and I think it's important for the writers who are watching this to really
Dozens of people, by the way.
dozens
Dozens of writers.
our three viewers. But I really do think it's important for them to know that most of TV is going to be two people in a room with opposing wants, and like you need to know how to write like that.
Yeah,
just like very scaled down.
What do these characters want?
I rewatched all of Game of Thrones recently. I was in
You're in the mood.
I'd like to call it that mood depression. And I just sort of
This is what we should talk about.
I caught an early episode and I was like, I remember that this show being really special early on, and I'm just gonna watch all of it, even the terrible ending. And so much of it is two people in a room.
Yeah.
So much of that show is like an amazing fight, and all the budget has gone into this 10 minutes, and the rest of it is just people being like, the Targaryen girl has to die.
Yeah.
No, she must live.
Yeah, and it's just two people in a room. I was like, every show, they have the budget for the budget only goes to a couple places. The rest is
pilot and finale.
Yeah.
Pilot and finale gets all the juice, and then everything else.
But even shows like that will have a Starbucks cup sitting.
Yeah.
I know some people who worked on that show, and I remember when that happened, I called up one of the people who were in the art department. I was like, "What happened? What happened?" And they were like,
"An actor happened.
An actor happened.
An actor happened. Yes, but it was also one of those things where it was like, it's one of those. They didn't have a lot of shots in that show that didn't go through VFX. A lot of their shots went through VFX, and that one was like everything was practical. There were a lot of actors in that scene. There are a lot of open flames in that scene. There are a lot of things to be mindful of, and there was just an actor that had a beverage and a cup, and it just and again, because it didn't go through all the other post-production places that all the other scenes did, it just slipped through the cracks. And I was like, so even on shows like that, they're
unless it was intentional and they just wanted the
press.
Want the press. There's something you said that's like, again, when we I started doing the Wire rewatch. It's like, I have some time. I'm gonna watch a show
and a profound sadness.
But I don't get to talk to showrunners very much about what and I just saw Issa Rae interview where she says, I don't feel like I'm successful because I don't have a show up.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people look at, I look at you and I'm like, you did that thing. You made a show that's classic. You've done that thing. But then this feeling of when we don't have a show up, how are you? Sorry, and I know it might not be in your thing.
Very good. This is all very good.
This is the good stuff.
This is the good stuff.
But this has been that year for me. Like I've been, Anthony, you are the only person I could ask. Like, I'm running 2 shows. How do I schedule? You know what I mean? So I felt like that guy. I was that guy for a quick season. I was Mr. Busy Man. And then the busy man time ends. My inbox, I'm lucky if I get remember our inboxes when we're doing shows?
Yeah.
It's like,
oh my God,
we can never catch up.
Just relentless.
And so, for you, this coming off of the thing, you won the CSA, you're Mr. Man, and I think I want to ask you this when I saw you at the D&D. I'm like, are you? But I got shy, but now you're on camera, and
and we will not contextualize that D&D.
The D&D for adult show running D&D club, but I didn't know. So what do you guys do to keep moving forward? Because this has been the year of, I'm not answering people's emails, I'm not running a show, I'm not writing for somebody else's deadlines. Where were you guys at? What did you guys do? Because I just want to know if my experience is singular or if we share a common thing.
I've spoken to, because I reached out. I reached out to some showrunner friends of mine in sort of the months following the very final, the final episode aired, the final interview was given for press and all that stuff, and it's sad. It's sad because this thing that you worked on, I worked on that every day for 4 years. Every day there's a part of me that was working on that show, and filling with it till the very end and sending it off in the world, and then, reading every comment I could find on it and all that sort of stuff. And then it's just done, and it's sad because you don't have that thing to obsess over anymore. And it's a loss. It's like there's a mourning process.
Yeah.
And I identified it early. I was like, oh, I'm sad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm
You
sad
weren't in
about
denial.
that.
You were
I must have been at first. I was
Yeah.
like, come on, man, get out of bed.
Yeah.
Rise and grind.
Rise
Do a
and
show.
grind.
Do a show now.
Scurves up, guys. Scurves up.
Scurves up.
Scurves up is I'm just at the title page. I've got nothing else. But I realized I just needed to be gentle with myself and go through it and watch stuff and try talk with the writers for my show and keep in touch and just like allow myself a bit of grieving for that. And it went longer than I thought.
Yeah.
And then it comes back. But the other thing about it is there's so much inertia to running a show.
Mm-hmm.
You're up and running. There's so much momentum behind you, and just the nature of having to do it so quickly. And there's just so much momentum. And then to have to start at zero again, it has to start out with like, there is no, I don't know the characters in the thing that I'm creating at all. I don't know anything about this world yet. And I've forgotten what it's like to just be in a hockey rink full of sand. So yeah, I don't know if that.
No, yeah, 'cause for me it was like, so that was like my 2024 actually. It was like I was in a place where I was running 2 shows, I was running multiple shows. Every year I had like, I think one year I did like 40 episodes of
There was
TV.
like an 18-month period where you did it was like 60 episodes of television.
Something like that.
Crazy.
It was crazy. So and even before that, it was like I had my kids show that I shot in Belfast, Secret Life of Boys. We did 5 seasons of that. And so 2024, I wasn't on set like at all for anything. And for me, it was like there was that break when you're like, okay, good, I can breathe a little bit. But then you're like, wait a second, I'm breathing this is too much breath. I got
Carbon
kids.
monoxide building up. Yeah.
My kids got to go to school next year. So then you start to, like, for me, it was like not panic, but it was like, okay, what's it going to be? And I think I'm in a place now where I'm like, okay, the universe will sort itself out, but what has to happen is, for me, I have to get to a place where I'm creating and I'm doing things on my own.
Yeah.
That I can control all the way through. So I started like finding ways to produce. So for me, it was about like finding funding to like do that little sketch thing that I did with like these triggers. I was like trying to figure out like ways to like build stuff that I was like, oh, what's the stuff that I've been meaning to do that I haven't had a chance to do yet. And I find that creative energy becomes a magnet for other creative energies. And so you start working with people that you might not have worked with before, you start developing stuff, and then, that stuff eventually gets to a place where you can, for me, I was like, I just need to start making some money on some of this stuff. You get to a place where you start making some money on some of that stuff because it's like, you trust yourself as an artist and as a creative and as someone who people want to work with. But it took a little bit of time. It took more time than I wanted it to take, but eventually I got back to a place where I was like, okay. And even like this year, like I did Hate the Player. It's 6 episodes, coming from a place where I was doing like a lot more. It still was like that. Those 6 episodes took as much energy out of me.
Always.
There's the other ones, and of course I'm getting older now too, so it's a lot of like those days when you're on set, you're like you're there from like 7 to 7 or whatever. Then back in the day I could come home and then be like, okay, I'm just gonna bang out like a funny sketch or like start working on another script or whatever. This time I'll come home and be like, I'm going to sleep.
Good for you.
I need a break. So it's a lot of like figuring out what you need to take care of yourself, figuring out how to use that time to create stuff that you want to create. Because a lot of times we get to a place where we're creating stuff that we have to create. Like we're all like, we're working showrunners now. So it's kind of like you get the job. Sometimes it's not always a job that's based on your content. Sometimes it's based on someone else's content. And they want your experience to come and run this show. And so it's not necessarily yours. And so for me, I find those quiet times to work on stuff that's me.
What I realized is my baseline for exhaustion when I'm show running is like so high.
Yeah.
Like, in this year has been a year of wellness and like kind of resetting my baseline. It's like I was in a deficit for 4 years. I was like not eating healthy. I was not doing anything healthy. Like even mentally.
Because you're just trying to keep up.
Yeah, just trying to keep up. And then this year was just like adjusting the baseline, writing for myself again, and then just showing up. Like, because the job of being me had to replace my identity of being a showrunner. Like, being a showrunner was my whole identity. Like, it surpassed like being my time with my kid, being my time with my partner. Like, everything was geared into this land of showrunning and being the DM of this world. Back to our adult showrunning and Dungeons.
Now
and
I understand what you're talking about. Yeah.
But then I had to adjust all of my baselines. Like, oh yeah, I'm a person who has friends, or I'm a person who needs to read and feed the soul, and I'm a person who needs to like be good to my body. So
showrunner is a satisfying like identity.
It's such a sad, and you're validated all the time, and everybody is nice to you.
Yeah, it's like the thing you've been working towards. You were creatively in charge of something from beginning to end, and it's just a very satisfying sort of hopefully experience. And then when it goes away, you're no longer the CEO of your show. It sounds like both of you have done great jobs of better than me dealing.
But it's a daily. I think it's a daily. Trying to find the same level of validation when we're not show running, because it's the super juicy validation job. Like, you're in charge of so many things. You're world building. The characters don't exist unless you breathe life and decisions into these tangible characters. So I think when I saw that Issa Rae interview, I'm like, oh, it's not just me. And then talking to you guys, it's not just us.
It's never just you. It's always, everyone feels like it's one of the things I've realized. I think just conversation is so important, because you just never know who's dealing with all the same stuff that you're dealing with.
And not everyone gets to show run. Like, there's so few people who actually have this experience.
Yeah, so no one feels any sympathy for you.
Yeah, no, everyone's like, fuck you, man. You at least got to show run. But
cry me a river.
Oh, I'm sorry, showrunner.
Cry me a river.
There's two things I want to talk about with being in the writer's room before we break, because you guys have been fantastic, and we're going over time. But this is all such good, juicy stuff. Breaking stories. One of the things we need to kind of, people don't, this is one of those like mysterious things that a lot of writers hear about who've not been in rooms with, so breaking a story is just, you're just trying to figure out the beats of an episode, the beginning, the middle, the end. When we talk about breaking a story, it's very difficult to do, because you're always trying to figure out your characters, your world, what you're trying to do for the entire season, but like, what's this one episode? So yeah, for me, I'll just kind of like, one of the things I try to do with, I usually break stories pretty quickly. And one of the things that's helped me with writers' rooms breaking stories is that I'll start with a discussion. About the episode, what we want, what we think is fun, what we think is kind of like, I'm like, here's the episode we're going to do. This is the card we're going to work on today. What are some fun things that can happen in this episode? We'll have that discussion. And then once we have that discussion, I'll start talking about what the end of the episode is.
Smart.
Because what I found is that when you're building a path, if you know where you're going, it's easier for you to build a path towards the end. So I'll figure out what the end. So say we're breaking a 3-act episode. Like, what's the end of the 3rd act? It's like, okay, well, if that's the end of the 3rd act, and we all like that. What's the end of the 1st act that's going to get there? What's the end of the 2nd act that's going to get there? So now I've got like these 3 tent poles, and I've got like, okay, I know we're going to end act 1 here, we're going to end act 2 here, we're going to end act 3 here, and now I've got the path kind of like figured out, and I can be like, well, if we're going to end act 1 here, we need these things to happen before we get to end of act 1. And then what I find is that very quickly you kind of fill out those little beats in a way that's like, well, this is the most sensical way to tell the story. That's not the way you're going to tell the story, because you want twists, you want turns, you want things that are going to be surprising. But then from there, I can kind of like get the twists and get the turns and figure out ways to kind of like maneuver and move these characters in interesting ways. But that's just one crazy way of breaking a story. And I find it helpful for me when I'm doing pilots, because I'm just like, okay, I will just figure out the endings first.
Wow,
and then,
I love that.
And then go from there.
Yeah, because that's sticking that landing is
so hard.
Essential.
It's so important.
Yeah. I just have found like when I'm trying to figure it out as I go, I wind and I curve and I do all these different things, and then I get to a place where I'm like, oh, this is the ending I want, and then I got to go back and I got to rebuild it to kind of get to a place where it makes more sense.
Yeah, I don't break story like that.
How do you break stories, sir?
Way different.
Way better, like way awesomer. Like
you roll the dice.
There are a lot of different ways.
20-sided dice.
Magic 8 ball. Magic 8 ball. What's my heart? Dark Night of Soul. Okay. Thing is, all of the shows that I've worked on have been young people chasing their dream shows, whether it's Top Line or Gangnam Project or whatever. And so, because there's an element of these are shows for young people, I go theme first. It's like what does our protagonist or what do they need to learn, or what is the thing that as a young person you are moving through, and what are the things. And so, and like especially with Gangnam Project, it's like these people about somebody who's Korean Canadian going to Korea and then learning about our identities. Like what's the things that the world of K-pop is making her learn about herself, and then how can we make an awesome song for it? Like like how comedy is running, like you becomes a North Star of what you're chasing. In the kind of musical space that I've been in, it's like I need a song to be about this, and so for my finale or for the ending, this is the kind of song has to be the transformation of the character articulated in music. And so it's always been it was themes first, or with Top Line, it's the theme first, that we need to satisfy the theme. Is this theme agency? Is the theme grieving? Is the theme whatever? And it has to be articulated in music, and then the story has to facilitate the kind of the unfolding of that piece of music. I love that
too.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Really nice way to work. I theme's important to me too. I think it's really a great way to work because you can look at any kind of moment in the episode and be like, but is this saying what we want it to say?
Connected to the plan. Yeah.
I going back to our card sort of story and then finding like what's funny, what do we like about this? The cards that have the most juice, that generate the most conversation, that people are laughing at and like expanded on, we take those and any other cards from other moments that sort of feel like they're in the same family, and we do what I call a soft break. And we'll take maybe 2 or 3 of these episodes and we'll be like, what do we know? What do we know about this? We want this thing to happen. We want this to do. What does this person want that gets us there? We do a very 40 minutes, an hour, just being like what we think we know.
Yeah.
And then I do a secret ballot.
I love this.
And then everyone ranks their where they like these episodes, like which they want to write, or like which one they want to break. And that tells me, because I'm hoping that all these, ultimately I can be like, no, we're doing this one.
Yeah.
But it tells you like what everyone is excited about.
Where's the juice?
What everyone wants to write about. And so there's momentum already. And then you get into the thing. And sometimes it's like I'll have maybe not even act outs, but it'll be like, we know we want this funny thing to happen. We know we want these characters to do this. This is the order that makes sense. And this is what we're missing, right? These are the things. And then you go back to the beginning, like, okay, what does someone want? What are they trying to do that gets us there? And and then you've got these other episodes that you think are also like ready to go. If you start to break this and it starts to not, the momentum is lost on it for some reason, or you run into a really big snag that's sort of, unmovable, you can just be like, let's this afternoon we're working on this now.
and isn't it weird that sometimes the snag that catches you for 3 hours with the whole room not knowing how to get past the snag, the next day within 2 seconds, like somebody has a solution, and it's like, why didn't we think about that the first time? Or
it wasn't time.
Your brain you're primed in a weird way. Like when you're in the thing, your brain is like, everyone's brains are kind of like pointing toward the thing, and then when you come in the next day, no one's brain's pointing anywhere, and people can be like, we forgot to look over beside us.
No, that part of the story science is a mystery to me. Like how sometimes the pathways are cleared up so easy, and that took a whole day of banging your head against the wall.
And one thing I'll say too is like I think it's important for people to remember. So much of writer's block is people try to make things perfect on the first time that they do it.
Yeah.
You can't. It's always going to change. Like if you break a story, that is just the beginning of the process. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to change when there's an outline. It's going to change when there is a script. It's going to change when you bring in actors and directors and.
It's going to change in the ADR. It's like the things could change all the
so many different times. So when you're putting together, whether it's you're breaking a story or premise and outline, it needs to be what it needs to be for right now. It needs to be to get you to the next step, to the next hurdle. It's just like hurdle after hurdle after hurdle.
Yeah, is this enough? Is there enough here that it's worth going to the next step? And the other thing that you're also thinking of is like which writer is, because sometimes it's just like you're the next writer that's writing and this is going to be yours. But sometimes it's like, oh, I feel a particular connection between this material and this actor, or they pitched this idea, or they were the ones that were the most sort of like energized in this outline process. And sometimes it's good to give that person that script that they're
they're already on it. There's so many other things to deal with. They can own it.
Yeah. And that is a good segue again to the next thing I want to talk about, which is about delegating and communicating. This is a big thing with showrunners and writers. And I think we're seeing a lot of times where like writers are like, I'm going to write the whole season by myself. And I think that's part and parcel of two things. One, it's either like a money thing where they just want all the money. Two, it's either a situation where they're like, I don't know how to communicate with other writers what I want from this thing. And it's much easier for me to just do it. And as a showrunner, there are going to be times when you have to rewrite scripts. That's part of the job. You're going to be doing it. But I feel like if you can find a way to communicate and work with the writers in your room and get them to take the ball as far down the field as they possibly can, it's going to make your job so much easier. So get good at communicating, get good at delegating. I think it's one of the most important things you're going to do as a showrunner.
That breaking process, people don't understand what it happens in the writing room. No other department knows because that job happens separately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that group break is the most exciting part. It's the most fun part. But that's after that, once you've satisfactorily, that's not a word, put together this outline,
Emmy winning.
It feels like it's bulletproof. You know what I mean? You need to give that to someone else, and it's not going to necessarily be perfect or the way you would do it, but like you got to trust that this thing that you've all built together, everyone knows how to make it, and you know,
and set them up for success. Like just give them, make sure that you're clear about what you want from this episode, like what. And what I'll do too is I'll share templates with like, you know, here's what I want a premise to look like. Here's what I want my outlines to look like. Here's what I want my scripts to look like. Just give them a sense of like what you're looking for, how you've done it in the past.
I want all of those, Anthony, by the way, for my payment of being here. I want all of your templates.
I will absolutely pass those on to you. Like I think it's one of those things where it's like, because well, one, I think keeping it consistent is helpful for the producers and the broadcasters because then they know what, even when they get it, they're like, oh, this is something from this show because it's in the same template or whatever it is. And I think also it takes a little bit of heat off the writer that you're working with because they're like, oh, I don't have to like
color by numbers. They could just follow the map.
Follow the map and do that. So I think that's, and then also just being clear about like what you're expecting from them, and also when you want it back. Like the due dates are so important.
What is it, a week? What are we like? What's the thing? It's like a week for an outline, 2 weeks for an outline, 1 week for an outline.
I think it's 2 weeks for. I don't know what the WGC minimums are, but I think it's 2 weeks for a script. Maybe it's not like that anymore. I don't know.
I don't think they actually have minimums. I think it's literally, it just depends on what you've set up in your schedule. I've been in places where we've had to do outlines in like 2 days. We've had to do outlines. We've had a week for outlines. And I've been in places where you had 3 days for a script and places where you've had 2 weeks for a script. So it just kind of, I try and build in as much time on my schedule. And this is another thing that we could probably do a whole 90 minutes on, was building a writing schedule. It's like making sure you check in with broadcasters, producers, everyone that's going to have a say, how much time they need for certain things. And also if they say they need too much time, say no. You don't. You can't. No,
you have to push back.
You have to push back and let them know you have. Is this day's enough days for you to get me notes on a premise, on an outline, on a script, and then build that into your.
That calendar is a nightmare. Like as we're talking about it, I'm getting triggered about like certain things, and it's like that kind of calendar workflow and like those kind of things.
But if you know your network and you know like the kinds of notes you're getting, sometimes I'm just like, just go to script.
Yeah,
go to scripts. We'll
figure it out.
We'll figure out the notes.
Yeah.
We can. It's maybe even easier to adjust the notes in script anyway.
Yeah. Well, that one of the soft skills or the skills of being a showrunner is the song and dance with network, and like the note behind the note, or just like what they'll forget, what notes they'll forget, and you just keep writing and then just keep pushing it down. Like there's a whole skill set of dealing with executives that is not taught in any BIPOC show running thing. Like
there
this
is episode 7, managing relationships. We're gonna get into it for sure. Like we'll
the bottle episode 7, the bottle episode.
Yeah, the bottle. But yeah, I think there's like this. It's a big part of the job, just learning how to communicate. I think also like there's a lot of different writers, especially these days. You're getting writers who have different mental health issues and ADHD and on spectrums and different kind of. So learning how you communicate is important, but also you learning how they communicate.
Yeah. You got to meet people where they're at.
Yeah.
And I think that's why I keep using the word empathy when you're a showrunner, because there's so many people we are asking to do things. So we have to be flexible as well. Like there's, I miss the old days when you could just be a tyrant and a dictator and you could keep it old school and everyone has to meet you where you're at. But there's, I think right now in the climate we're at and in trying to get the best performances from people is the element of meeting people where they're at and having the empathy and understanding of who they are.
And then I think the other thing I was going to talk about, like with number 2s or like, co-EPs or, writers who are a little more seasoned, using them to help with a lot of things, because you're going to be pulled in so many different directions while you're show running. Like just having people who you trust and to kind of move things along in the right way, and also just like to keep you on top of things that you might have dropped or forgotten about. Like I think it's going to be so important to just hire the right people.
I personally love having a co-showrunner.
Yeah,
I've done it by myself and I've done it with another person. I like having another person who like you have to trust. Like I was fortunately put in an arranged marriage situation with somebody who's way smarter than me, who's like in Inspector Gadget there's like Inspector Gadget and there's the
Penny.
person.
Yeah.
I was not the penny in that situation, but like we have different strengths, so I love having a co-showrunner because the workload is I find really intense, and some people will be better in the edit, some people will be better breaking, so I like having a co for sure.
The ADHD aspect of my life makes show running almost pleasurable. Like the always everything's on fire is like that's when the ADHD person is like, I will now focus. Oh, the project's due tomorrow. This is my time to shine. I feel like that. I do like that part. But having someone like who you trust to say like, not this, you're wrong about this, or like who can feels confident to check you and to execute things and that you need done, or to be in the room when you can't be, and trust that the things that you want to get done are going to get done in a way that you like. But I always think of a room as like extra RAM.
Yeah.
Your writers are just extra RAM. They're doing like, I can't possibly write all these things or come up with all these ideas.
Yeah, that's
or
great
like,
to think about it.
So just like you guys are now, I'm plugging you in and I can now execute at a higher level, and you need to use your team that way. They can't just, the flow just can't be one way. Like they need to be working on stuff at all times and to their strengths, to their abilities, meeting them where they're at, but like finding what it is that they're going to be most useful for and getting them on it.
Yeah, extra RAM is amazing.
Because I remember those days when I had to put extra RAM. Like I actually had to like literally physically put it into my
Your computer? That's weird.
Yeah, now you just download it.
I love that you're pretending you don't remember, Romeo.
What? I'm
I'm-
Gen Zalpha.
I'm a baby.
I'm on Gen Zalpha.
We did it, you guys.
Oh my God.
You guys spent way more time than I told you it was going to take. I apologize, but I couldn't.
I haven't even noticed.
It was so good and it was so helpful.
I think I needed this, frankly. I
Yeah.
think I needed to talk
Yeah, nice.
to other people who understand the job.
And just click on this link here if you want Anthony's templates.
Yeah. Sub to my YouTube channel.
I wish I had. I'm gonna get Andy, our engineer, to put all that stuff in there. He's gonna be like, no, that's not. I'm not getting paid to do that.
Yeah.
We'll figure it out. Just email me.
Just click on this link for his email.
Just click on this thing. Yeah.
And
I
his,
love the
and his
idea of
personal
pointing
line.
and it's like nothing.
There's nothing. We're just pointing at nothing.
I also want to thank our sponsors. This right. No.
Yeah, Tarragon.
No one on
Stage
Tarragon,
Plan.
the theater?
Tarragon.
If Tarragon Theater starts sponsoring things,
Yeah, the Factory Theater.
oh my God, theater, because theater is doing so. They're always flush with cash. Theater
They're
people.
killing
Yeah,
it.
this TV show's got some of that sweet theater money. It's backing it up.
Money.
One day.
One day we'll make that theater money.
Thank you both so much, Romeo,
Yeah.
Kurt. Thank you so much. This
Thanks,
has
man.
been amazing.
you.
And yeah, another podcast coming your way very, very soon. Just watch and keep watching these episodes, and you'll keep on learning how to be an amazing showrunner, just like Romeo and Kurt. Thanks, everybody.
We giving out self-help seminars. Hold yourself up with pride and spread love if you get involved. If you're looking where the truth lives, I can promise that you'll never find hubris. But we know that we cold and it's a fact, no cap. Sound days going stupid like.